Compliance, we will not build housing.
Yeah, you know what, that's a big landlord lie. And we use that hashtag all the time, landlord lie. If that was the case, then San Francisco would not continue to keep building these expensive high-rises for condominiums. San Francisco has seen a tremendous amount of growth since they've had rent control, and even since they passed Costa-Hawkins. So please don't believe that lie. Rent control does not stop development for housing. That's false.
Okay, hold on. I'll come back to the front in a minute. I'm making my way around the room.
On ballot number 2, what I've heard recently is that these funds that are, this $2 billion that's supposed to go to the mentally ill are not being used. Not because they're not needed, but because it's so hard to access them and the things you need to get to them, it's not being used. It's not that they're not trying to use it, it's not that people aren't there. So now it looks to me like what they're going to do instead of giving it to the mentally ill is turning it into the homeless or turning it into housing money, which is not. So my question is, can you explain that to me, please?
I want to start because I actually worked on the proposition that created the money that we're trying to use for homeless services. So one of the, what this basic, there's 2 pots of money that Proposition 2 accesses. The housing money is already there for homeless. The problem for housing homeless folks is that it's not just a roof. For many people who are homeless, there are other issues, mental health issues, substance abuse issues, domestic violence issues that contribute to somebody being homeless. And when the proposition was passed, 63 in whatever year that was, 2005, it was for mental health and other substance abuse services. It was not, and there was a court, so they tried to use that to provide those services to people who were getting into homeless housing. And a lawsuit was filed by folks in the state saying you can't use that money for mental health and substance abuse services in housing. And so basically, so the money got stuck there. It's in the budget, it's not being used completely. And so what this ballot measure does is it allows, it gives, the voters would give permission to the state to say, yes, you can use Prop 63 dollars to provide services to people who were previously homeless and need services to stay housed. So it's money that's there. This is not new money. It's just giving permission to use some of that money, not to build housing, but to provide the services so that people can stay housed. That's the purpose of the initiative. Okay, I'm going up to the front.
Going up to the front. Yeah.
Come to the front.
I'd like some expansion of information on your opposition to Prop 6. Seems to be we want roads and transportation, but I'm sure it doesn't mean that. The repeal of funding for roads and transportation.
So, we passed in the last election a gas tax, remember? And so, what this proposition does is would repeal what we already said yes to. It's an attempt to undo something we already voted for. And that's why we're opposed to it. We supported that tax for roads and public transit, and now there was a group of folks who want to undo that tax, mostly the anti-tax contingent, who feels like we're getting too much taxes. But the problem, I mean, if you've been on the roads at all, and around here you're around it a lot, they need to be improved. Transit needs to be improved, and that's why so many people voted for it. And this is an attempt to repeal that. So that's why we're opposed to it. We think we should stick with what we voted for in the first place. There you go.
Well, and the other issue is that it really hasn't had a chance to go into full effect and for us to see the benefits. And it was one of these propositions that was put on the ballot specifically to drive turnout of anti-tax voters.
Who's talking here?
I've got a clarification on Proposition 8. Does it affect only clinic-based dialysis, or does it also include companies working with peritoneal at-home dialysis as well?
It is, I believe, Jody, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's just inside